Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're here today to talk about the rich text resolver for Kontent.ai. So I'm joined today by Dan. Dan, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you do at Kontent.ai?
Thank you, Jordan. Hello, Jordan, and hello, everyone. My name is Daniel, and I work as a developer advocate for Kontent.ai. I originally come from support background, but I joined the developer relations team some 2 years ago, and since then I'm working on open source projects such as the rich text resolver that we're going to be talking about today.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. So before we start talking about the resolver itself, maybe we could kind of set the stage, talk about the background a little bit. What are some of the challenges that developers face when they're working with rich text in the context of a headless CMS?
Right. So in a sense, the rich text is basically just an HTML. So from that standpoint, it's easy to include it in your in the output, like website or whatever. But the thing is, of course, rich text allows you all the niceties that you want from a specific editor, like inline formatting, bold stuff, italics, and whatnot. But you also want to provide the user with an option to sort of enhance the content with something more. That can be like assets, so inline images in rich text, or components or linked items. Or we refer to these commonly as structured content. Now, this allows the editor to provide, let's say, links to related articles in the middle of an article, or things like that, or maybe embedded video. But the thing is, the structured content needs to be rendered somehow. And that's where some sort of resolution has to take place. And that's actually one of the key parts that the resolver does. And to help render the default object element that gets returned in the API response and transform it into something visible and tangible that the user can interact with.
Yep, perfect. So then, speaking about that, could you tell us a bit about the rich text resolver? What is it? How does it work?
Yeah, so I guess you could say that it's pretty self-explanatory from the name of it. Its key aspect is resolving rich text. This was originally part of our SDKs, or especially JavaScript SDK, but it revolves around resolving structured content that I mentioned in the previous question. So in Kontent.ai, we use, and I think I mentioned that as well, content components, linked items, and assets. All of these can enhance the rich text and provide the user with an option to create structured content. And the resolver tries to make it as easy as possible to grab this content and change it into the desired output that would fit the line of the content on the website or in the application. So basically, it resolves rich text content. But it also has some other uses, but I'm sure we'll get to these at some later questions.
Yes, yeah. So our customers or users of Kontent.ai use all sorts of frameworks on their front end. My understanding is that this rich text resolver is framework agnostic. So could you tell us a bit about that and the types of frameworks it supports?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, originally the resolution was tied to the SDK, and it was limited to the components, linked items, and the assets. But that only worked for like direct HTML. Then we had to provide an example how to make it work like with things like React, Vue. And we created repositories, or example repositories where we've showcased that. But then you have the pain of keeping those repos updated, because our SDKs are maintained continuously, and sometimes there are breaking changes, and you still need to keep these examples to be fresh, up to date, and to showcase the actual use. And that's something that we wanted to address by providing the resolver and making it as agnostic as possible. And the thing is, we wanted to first, like, all right, let's think of a format that we could use to make this happen, make this possible. And then when we say, oh, right, why reinventing the wheel? And why not just take something that's already existing and has open source community around it? And that's why we we picked portable text. We're going to get to that later. And because it already provides external packages to transform the rich text content in various frameworks. Like it's got ready-to-use package for React, for Vue, for Astro as well, or even vanilla HTML if you feel like it. So, yeah.
Yep, great. So I understand that the resolver, it transforms HTML into simplified nodes. So how do these nodes help developers work with content from external sources?
Yeah, so this is actually a new addition to the resolver. Originally it was mainly for the rich text resolution, but then we realized, all right, the way we implemented it, it does provide us an option to create something more from it. And we often, and more often than not, we see our customers who are migrating content from, let's say, other CMSs or tools. And while the regular elements are sort of easy to transform, when it comes to rich text, then you kind of hit a roadblock and you need to somehow adjust it. And that can be painful because it's an HTML. So of course you've got some tools ready for parsing it and transforming it, but they're not all too convenient and not so easy to use. So what we wanted was to provide an easy way to grab a piece of rich text content or any HTML whatsoever, be able to provide the rich text resolver with an option to load it, parse it, and then as easily as possible to transform it into the rich text content format that's supported by Kontent.ai.
Yep, great. So a little earlier, you mentioned portable text. Could you tell us a bit about what portable text is and why you chose it as kind of a backbone for the resolver?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So like I said, we were thinking about, because originally our still is, our rich text is represented as HTML, which is great because it's supported. It's basically a subset of HTML5, so it's easy to render it wherever you want. But since then, there were many additions, like I said, the structured content, the assets, and all of this led to us. We have to sit around and think about, all right, so let's make this more universal. And we first we created sort of a JSON representation of the rich text, and we're thinking, all right, let's try to parse this and transform it. But then, and also I believe I mentioned it earlier, we said to ourselves, all right, why reinventing the wheel? Why reinvent something that's already present? And we stumbled upon portable text, which already had some community around it, and it's basically just a JSON abstraction of rich text content. Now, I'm not going to go into specifics how exactly it's layouted. It doesn't like match the HTML one-to-one when it comes to structure. It's structured a bit differently. It revolves around blocks and spans. But we sort of investigated design and found it very convenient. So basically, we just took the portable text and implemented a transformer that grabs the Kontent.ai rich text and transforms it into portable text. Now, of course, there are objects in Kontent.ai rich text, such as the aforementioned components and linked items, that have a specific rendering that's not supported by portable text. So for that matter, we implemented custom blocks in the portable text format, and also provided custom resolvers for them to make it sort of as easy as possible when it comes to resolving these Kontent.ai specific objects.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, thank you. Now, if you want to start using this rich text resolver in your projects, what does the implementation process look like? How do you get started?
Right. So I believe that we mentioned that the resolver is platform agnostic. That's not absolutely true. It's still a TypeScript tool, so it's primarily intended to be used in TypeScript or JavaScript applications. But when it comes to actually installing into a project, it's as easy as installing the module from NPM using your preferred package manager, and then follow the instructions outlined in the repository or even our own Kontent.ai documentation. Both of these sources provide step-by-step integration of the tool, including the like step-by-step from loading the actual rich text content, and then transforming it to the format you desire. So that's the process.
Great. Yeah. So not too bad. And could you tell us your personal favorite aspect of the rich text resolver? Maybe something that's not so obvious at first glance.
That's a good question. So, earlier I mentioned, I think I mentioned maybe 3 times that originally the resolution in the JavaScript SDK only revolved around the structured components, linked items, and whatnot. The beauty of the resolver is that you can now transform any element in the rich text, be it paragraphs, be it headings. So you have full control over the output of the rich text. You don't have to limit yourself to some wrapper with the style that styles the rich text elements, or like the HTML elements that compose the rich text. You now have full control over each HTML element used in the rich text, so which allows you to do things like interactive anchors. That's one thing that I remember from my support tenure, that oftentimes we had questions. All right, how do I make an anchor that's sort of that when a user clicks on this, it rolls down the screen to the corresponding section, right? This is something that's possible now with the resolver, because you can transform the headings from H1 to H6 to provide an interactive feature that when you click on them, it will roll down, or like create an anchor link, and then you can implement the actual logic and animation in your application. So it makes this pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's great. So I think maybe it'd be nice if we could actually see the rich text resolver in action. Would that be something we could do today?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I actually took the liberty of preparing a small demo. So
great.
If you just give me a few moments, I'll turn everything on, prepare it, and share my screen if it's fine.
Yes, yeah.
So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate the usage of our JavaScript and TypeScript rich text resolver, both in its primary intended use case, which is resolving rich text linked items and components, and we'll also delve a bit into other tricks that are possible with the rich text resolver, which weren't originally possible in the legacy resolution of the JavaScript SDK, which was built into it. So for the purposes of the demonstration, I'm going to use our sample project, the multi-brand sample project. You can create one yourself if you haven't done so already. Just go to projects, create new project, and select the multi-site sample project, and the wizard will guide you through the process and create a copy of the project in your subscription. Now, as for the code of the sample application, you can find it in the GitHub repository of Kontent.ai, on the Kontent.ai repositories, sample up Next.js. I already cloned the repository and opened it in my editor, so we'll start there. Let's start with the components. In the sample application, I believe the only type that was intended primarily for the inline usage in a rich text element was callout. You can, it's actually annotated with this puzzle piece. If we open the type, we'll see that it's intended as a, it's part of the component guidelines snippet, but it explains that its intended use is as an inline warning or an info box, etc. So the actual usage in our in the sample project is under Ficto imaging collection, and it's on the research item. So let's open that. Yeah, so this is the page, Ficto imaging, and the item itself is actually a content chunk, which is our container for rich text content. And we can see that the callout is here, and it actually just informs the user that this content is not finished yet. If we open the application here, so this is the sample application for Ficto imaging, and under research there should be the component. Now, we don't see the component here yet. That's because I actually commented out the piece of the code that's responsible for the resolution. So let's jump into the code and have a look at that. Right now, like I've said, it's commented. If we open the console, just a quick look, we'll see that the sample application has some sort of handling for such cases, and actually it doesn't display this div block, but it informs us in the console or in the source code of the source HTML that this is an unknown block type, and there's no component for it. We'll get to it later, or actually right now. So if we open the code of the sample application, we can go to rich text element, which contains the logic for rich text resolution using the rich text resolver. Now, the usage of the rich text resolver revolves around portable text resolvers. Though those are either React or just HTML. And actually for React and HTML, these are built in, the rich text resolver. Otherwise, you can also use external packages for Vue or other frameworks of your choice. But it's currently the resolver only exists as a TypeScript. So yeah, basically any TypeScript-based or JavaScript-based framework most of them are supported. In our case, we're using React, so I'm using the utilities from the React part of the resolver tool. And what we do here is that we are actually wrap this into a function that is to only to provide the resolvers with the required information about the element. So of course, if you want to resolve a component or a linked item, you actually need to provide them to the resolver. So we do that here. The element element, as you can see, is typed from the SDK. So the method expects a rich text element pulled from the SDK. And now the structure of the resolvers is as follows. Now most of the resolution happens under types element of the resolver object, and you can see there are some already pre-filled. We've got image and table here. Now, if we have a look at this, we can see that this is also typed. This is actually because we provided helpers that contain type definitions for custom components that are specific for Kontent.ai when it comes to portable text, because portable text is what the resolver is built upon. And the custom blocks are for images, for tables, and for our components. Now, like I've said, I've commented this code out, so that's why we didn't see anything before. Now, if I comment this or uncomment this again, we can see a bit better what's happening under the hood. So what we do here, we've again components and linked items are handled under a single component or item property of the resolver, and again you can see that it's typed already, so no hassle in typing the values here. Just shorthand access of the value property, which contains under the portable text component or item. We can actually have a look at the type definition. We can see it comes from the rich text resolver package, and it basically just it defines a custom block component or item. There's also a data type property which holds either link, item, or component. So yeah, it's either for linked item or component or rich text link as well, possibly. And then there's the actual component or item, which is basically just a reference to the component or item that that's returned as a part of the API response from the SDK. So what we do here is first we check, we try to find the component or item based on the value that we've passed to the component or item resolver. So what this does is it looks for linked items. Again, we mentioned this is the element that comes to the default create default resolvers method, and it gets it's checked. Basically, the linked items array, which holds all linked items and components of said rich text element, is iterated through, and the corresponding component or item is found. Now, if it's not found, which shouldn't be the case ever, but there's error handling for that, just in case. So there's just an error thrown. And otherwise, we go here. This is where the magic happens. You can also use a different structure, but in this case, we're using switch. And basically what we do is we switch to the component or item that we've isolated in the previous step, and we look at its type. Now, type is basically a code name of the type that the component or linked item is built upon. And as I've shown you earlier, we have the callout type that we want to resolve to a warning message. So, yeah, apologies for that. Let me jump back into the code. Yeah. So as we can see here, we check if the item or component is of type callout. Then we return some sort of component. Now I can save this and actually show you what the component looks like. It's provided basically the component item is provided as a prop to the callout component, but we'll adjust this just to show you the possibilities. So let me jump back into the application. Let's close this. And we can see that, yeah, it updated the moment I uncommented the code. We see now that there's the callout rendered. Now this is, again, the callout is rendered based on the callout component definition, but we can actually adjust this and try to return something else. So let's just say we want to return if that says callout. All right, it's enough for now. Yeah. So yeah, and I would just return callout, but that's of course not really informative. We would like to also include some values from the actual component. So what we can do here is component item elements title. I believe, is that so? Yeah. Right. Oh yeah, we actually have to forget. We need to, yeah, title and value. And yeah, this can be undefined if the text element is empty. But if I go back, I'll see that there's actually no title. So expect nothing to render there. Let's try to save this. And that's true. There's no element called title. But if we look back, we see that there are elements called content and type, which is basically multiple selection. So let's just render the content part. We see that it informs the user that this page is not finished yet. So let's just go here and switch from title to content. And this should be present. So if I switch back to the website, we see that the paragraph from the callout component is rendered here. Now, of course, this on its own doesn't look so well, so that's why we defined the rendering in a callout component, which is styled, and yeah, you have seen it earlier. It's this styled info box, and basically warns the user of what I mentioned earlier, that this is an unfinished page. So that's for the component. This works again, both the same works for components and linked items. But I promised you that I'm going to show you some other tricks that are possible. Now for this, we can go a bit lower. Now I'm not gonna go deep into the structure of the portable text. If you're interested in that, I suggest you either look up the portable text standard or just go to our company repositories under the Kontent.ai that I've shown you earlier and look up the rich text resolver. The repository contains documentation that will inform you further about the functionalities and the custom components we have provided. But let's scroll down. You've seen that so far we've worked with types. Then there's also marks, which usually define like links and decorations of the text, such as bold, emphasis, and stuff like that. But when we scroll down, we actually see there's a property block, and this actually allows you to transform the paragraphs or headings as well. And what we used it for here is for creating anchor links. As you can see, these are basically definitions for the corresponding tags in the rich text. And what this does what this allows you to is basically whenever you encounter an H1 tag, you can transform it to something else, such as into an anchor link, as we do here. So let me jump back to the browser and show you the homepage of Ficto Imaging. And you see there are several headings, and these are already actually transformed, as you've just seen. If we click on this, you see it takes us to an ID our vision, and yeah, this way you can create anchor links in rich text. Now, just to explain a bit more what happens here, what we do is basically just wrap the H2 or H1. Actually, it goes from H1 to H6, I believe. So all headings are accounted for. And it basically takes the H1 tag and its content is actually in the value here that we also access as children. And what we do, or actually no, it's under the children, which this is the React node that contains the actual content of the H1 tag. So we just wrap the children into an anchor tag, and here there's magic that happens under the hood. You can use any ID whatsoever. You can generate an ID and just make sure that the ID of the H1 tag matches the ref parameter of the ref attribute of the anchor. But if you want to have verified links, such as we do, as you've seen, that this actually contains the text, our vision, you can do something like read it. And that's basically, we took the first child of the H1, which usually is the text content of it, and just removed the spaces and instead replace them with an underscore. And that's basically what it does. And now if we look at the rendered anchor link, again, we can jump into code or the HTML. And yeah, we see that the ID, our vision, actually matches the attribute of the anchor tag under it. So this way you can create anchor links using the rich text resolver. Now, I think that's about it. There are also other possibilities to resolution, but I believe that components and perhaps the anchor links are one of the most common use cases for the resolution. So I think we went through that. Again, for more information, I suggest you go to the repository of the rich text resolver, or if you want to familiarize yourself with the portable text format, you can find that in its own repository for portable text. And also you can check their other frameworks or JavaScript frameworks that have packages for resolution of portable text that you can also use, as the portable text standard is supported and it's built upon, and actually the resolver is built upon it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's a nice demo.
Thank you.
So now let's say some people want to get involved with this. It's an open source tool, so if people want to give feedback or have some suggestions, how can they get involved?
So the best way would be just to submit an issue to the resolver repository. All our open source repositories are hosted on GitHub under Kontent.ai organization. So you can find that. The resolver is under rich text resolver. And if you find some issues with it, either submit an issue to the repository, or if you feel like you stumbled upon something that you can fix yourself, feel free to directly submit a pull request. We'll review it and either ask for some further improvements from your end, or just merge it into the code and release a new version. It's that simple.
Great, perfect. So Daniel, thank you so much for today. Thank you for showing off the tool. And
you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, and have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye, everyone.